Everest Base Camp is probably the world's most famous trek. But for a lot of people, there's a myth out there that it's actually, really, really challenging, whereas this one is very much achievable for non-mountaineers. It's a little of a longer itinerary, nudging up around 17 days. And there's obviously a lot on the market. You can really choose so many different operators, from very, very cheap local operations, very low support, all the way through to rugged luxury. Our goal, and very proud to say, we absolutely are the best in class on the Everest Expedition EBC Trail. Let's have a little look at that expedition in a little bit more detail. So how that looks when you get on the ground is you will have a summit guide, like an Everest summit guide, as your trek leader. So they can really bring you into the front row. They can tell you the stories. They understand altitude. The other major difference is access and exclusivity of access. So Everest Base Camp proper is the name that we give the actual camp at the terminus of the Khumbu Valley, right below Everest Base Camp, where all of the Everest South Side expeditions are staged. It's where all the tents are, where all the climbers are. It's only up for 2 months a year, April and May, and then it gets pulled down. It is built on a living, breathing glacier. Now, 99% of Everest Base Camp treks, you can do Everest Base Camp trek almost all year round, will end well before that camp. They'll say they're going to Everest Base Camp, but they never actually get to camp at all. They stop at a rock about 45 minutes away, walk away from the camp. They go in and they stay in the last town in the Khumbu Valley, which is called Gorik Shep. They do a day trip up to where the glacier is. About 45 minutes down the glacier would be where you can see the tents, at literally a spray-painted rock that says Everest Base Camp. That's their landmark. They take a picture and then they leave. Whereas because Rugged Luxury Expeditions is, the sister company to Climbing the Seven Summits, you guys come in at the same time in the same season as our Everest Summit climbers, and we have permission to allow you to be well-wishers of our summit climbers, right? So you can actually come in to Everest Base Camp proper, be there, and experience what it is to be front row to a real-life Everest expedition. And that is access that you just can't get anywhere else unless you've got that ticket. We spend 2 nights sleeping on the glacier in these lovely little geodesic domes. They're gorgeous with proper beds, proper floors. You will have a big champagne celebration. We do a beginner-friendly ice climbing clinic there. So the guides will actually take you out down onto the Khumbu Glacier where there's some vertical ice walls. We'll rope you up, harness you up, and you can do some ice climbing right there on the Khumbu Glacier. It's very, very cool. We make sure that you're really well supported. You're not carrying your own gear. You're not, suffering through this. As you can see from the trekking distance on the slide, this is not a hugely big distance to be covering in 17 days, right? The reason it takes so long, and we can have a quick look at the route in a minute, is because of that altitude. So we go up, we do that, but, once you've walked one way and you've seen it all, the 3-day trek back out is pretty brutal. Not going to lie, it's pretty brutal. So we've designed it so that you get picked up from camp, just outside camp, helicopter, high altitude, specialized helicopter and pilot. They land, whisk you away, and you're back in Kathmandu in a matter of an hour or two, back at a 5-star hotel, having a massage. It's pretty sweet. And then the next day we do a lot more about, go into Kathmandu, see the sights and enjoy the culture and the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. There's a lot to see and explore in Kathmandu. It's one of my favorite cities, kind of chaotic and wonderful and colorful. So I've got a couple of pictures to give you an idea. So you can see the domes. They're your personal geodesic domes. They're sitting on a living, breathing glacier. I know that looks like rocks, a rock floor, but it's actually rocks on ice. It's the glacial moraine. And just behind those domes, you can see the Khumbu Icefall. Can you guys see in the saddle above the Khumbu Icefall is a little dip between 2 mountains? It's the west shoulder of Everest going up to Nuptse. That little saddle in between is about 1 kilometer wide. The blocks of ice that you're looking at through the Khumbu Icefall, even though they're so far away, is like the size of apartment buildings and cars and houses all jumbled up. It's absolutely massive. From base camp itself, you can't even see Everest. You can only see her west shoulder. The peak that you're looking at with the sun is the west shoulder of Everest. So you're so close that you're looking up and you can't even see the top. But don't worry, we'll do a trek along the way where you can get incredible views of the whole Everest Massif, which is the picture on the far upper right there. That's the whole Everest Massif. And then we'll helicopter you. Once you've explored, we'll helicopter you back down valley. Now, a lot of people get really concerned about the route. They've heard horror stories. They hear lots of media about, the high altitude and can I do it? Is this a mountaineer's trek? So let's have a quick look at the route that we take. We fly in to the valley at the very bottom of this slide. We fly into Lukla, a place called Lukla, and that is a exciting airstrip carved into the side of a mountain. And then we make our way slowly up the Khumbu Valley, following the glacial river, all the way up. And we start at reasonable altitude. It's still pretty high though at 9,000 feet. You're going to know about it. So we take it really, really slow. So you're going to see the towns here with the key elevations we've laid out for you, but it actually takes us a lot longer. We do it in a climb high, sleep low acclimatization strategy. What that means is first you arrive in Lukla and you'll see you actually go downhill to a place called Fakting. I know I did actually pronounce that right. It's not a swear word. We go downhill first. That's great for acclimatization. And then the next day you're going up to, 11,000 feet at Namche. We spend 2 nights at Namche. So you'll arrive and then spend a whole rest and acclimatization day, another night before you move on. Then we go to Derbyshire and Tengboshe. Again, we arrive, we sleep, we explore the next day, go to the monastery, and then move again higher. And by the time we get to Ferrochet, just above 14,000 feet there, now we're into the true alpine zone. We're above the tree line and we're getting into some serious high altitude. It's really exciting. Ferrochet is also the place on the trail where we leave the main trek behind and we deviate into the mountaineers' camps. Now, again, exclusive access. The trail gets really busy, particularly in the choke point where everyone's coming up and back down on the same path between Ferrochet Everest Base Camp and then back down. Then there's a couple of deviations people take and thins the crowds. But at that point, we go, you know what, we want to get off the beaten trail and we go to our own mountaineers camp at Lobuche Base Camp. We do a secret itinerary deviation to Awi Peak. That's where you're going to get the best views. I'm not going to show you a picture because I don't want other people to go there. But we will take you to Awi Peak. Everyone says it's one of the highlights. And then you head into Everest Base Camp. So you can see it is very high. I understand people's nerves around going to 17,500 feet. But the length of time that we take to get there and the distance that we cover every day means that it's really achievable for non-climbers. And this is a great little slide of just a couple of pictures more of that trek. You can see how scenic and how beautiful it is and all the fun things, actually doing glacier walks, going ice climbing. It is, you can probably tell by the way I'm speaking about it, it is one of my favorites. My life journey started at Everest. My whole career stems back to that. It had many transformative moments. I know very few people who haven't had a life-changing journey on the Everest Base Camp Trail, no matter which way they like to do it. But this is just one of those little ways, that you can be a bit more present, really enjoy the time and do it in the finest way that's available. But again, you are going, the Khumbu Valley, there are no roads, right? You're days away from the nearest road. There is no septic or sewage system. There's no running water. We are getting really remote. So you're getting access to those environments, but we're going to smooth them out with the best mountain lodges. And then when part of the science behind why we put in our own mountaineering camps at places like Lobuche or Everest Base Camp is also for hygiene, where we can really control the environment. We can really control the quality of the food, how it's cooked. Altitude is a very interesting thing. It affects most things, including how, the temperature at which meat, water boils, things are properly cooked through. So you need proper high altitude trained chefs who really understand that. That's why there's a lot of illness in the Khumbu, and that's why we're helping mitigate that so that you don't get sick, so that you can enjoy your time. It's definitely one of my favorites. It runs in end of March, April and May.